Floridians know the cost of hurricane destruction. Last season, we got lucky. But luck doesn't protect your home. Fortunately, Storm Smart has dependable custom hurricane protection products. Hurricane screens, accordion shutters, aluminum roll-down shutters, flood mitigation systems. Because protected beats lucky every time. Be safe, be smart, be Storm Smart.
Streaming from the Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by Storm Smart. Protect every opening of your home.
How you doing, everybody? Tuesday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live. I've been having a fascinating conversation. So coming up in a couple of minutes, we are going to be talking with the executive director of the Tampa Sports Commission, different from the Tampa Sports Authority. And I actually just learned that today. But we've been talking about sports. We've been talking. Their job is to enhance the experience. And I'm making it as simple, paraphrasing it. But, you know, when a game or a stadium is built or something is planned, it's kind of their job to get folks here, to enhance the experience, and to try to provide, in a sense, tourism for our area through sporting events. And there's a big one coming up this weekend at Ray J. We've been talking, obviously, about potential stadiums. We've been talking about all sorts of stuff. Really interesting conversation. And Mr. Robinson is going to be coming up in about 6 or 7 minutes, and we'll be able to ask your questions. So if you're watching on the spot, as always, love that you're out there. We've been on the TV brand now for over a year now. Doing great. Love that you're here. But at the same time, the best of both worlds is watching on TV, following along on the socials, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of the above. We are on. You can ask your questions there, and we will do our best to answer them. So, again, just touching base. As always, lots and lots of folks in the chat. Randy in Brooksville, how you doing? We've got Cruz Mike from North Carolina. Nice to see you, Cruz Mike. Clearwater's in the house with Luis. We've got Kurt here, Spring Hill. Lots and lots of Tarpon Springs, Tampa. Texas is here. D from Texas. Asbury Park. So yeah, we've got a lot of folks here, but I'm sure at least a few are interested in the tropics. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what's going on with Bertha, and then we're going to change gears just a little bit, because I'm telling you, I think next week the models are already beginning to pick up on El Nino changes and how that will enhance our rain potential in our area. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So Amy's saying going to Houston on Friday early morning. Amy, I think you will be perfectly fine. I do not believe that you're going to have to worry about this system. And I'll show you why coming up in just a minute. Melissa in Tampa, how you doing? Lutz is in the house with Susan. So there's a look. You can see the rain kind of going from north to south, south to north, and it's moving northward. And that's kind of the outer fringe of Tropical Storm Bertha. Over the last 4 or 5 days, we have had our fair share of rain along the coast. Well, as Bertha moves away, it's taking the moisture along with it, but you can still see, I mean, look at that. That is a solid north to south line, and that is going right there pretty much as it travels along that axis. But what does that ultimately mean for our area? Look, at the end of the day, we've had some really decent rainfall of late, but more often than not, when a tropical storm or a hurricane leaves the area, what's left behind is drier air. And that's what we started to see today, and that's what we're going to see right on through the rest of the work week. Temperatures right now upper 80s to lower 90s. Bartow 91, Tampa 87, as is St. Pete 88 in Clearwater. There are your feels like temperatures. Up around 100. Now, we didn't get a heat advisory today because usually that's when we have a heat index of 105 or above, so we weren't quite there today. I don't think we will be tomorrow, but that wind, Rhode Island's in the house. Nancy, how you doing? Good to see you. You know, that wind today, usually you'd think a nice little breeze blowing 15, 20 miles an hour is going to make you feel better. I don't know, it felt like a convection oven to me. I mean, that was a warm breeze. I've been out to Vegas some times when that wind is blowing. Now, granted, it's 115 degrees at that time, and the humidity is like 3%. For us, no. The humidity was a lot higher with dew points in the upper 70s today. But the point is, a breeze does not necessarily feel refreshing when it's 11 billion degrees outside, and it kind of felt that way today. Outside right now in Tampa, 87 degrees, and there they are. South winds at 14 miles an hour, the dew point of 77. So that feels like temperatures, a crispy 99 degrees. Highs today, we were actually below average. We hit 90. The average is 91. The morning low dropped down to 79. No rain at the airport. We've had 6.53 inches of rain so far this month, and that is just under 6 inches below average. So there is that rain, south to north, eastern Polk, Highlands County. Don't think we're going to see any of that across most of the metro area. Get that one little cell over the Skyway, and that's kind of fizzling out even as we speak. So overnight, skies remain partly cloudy. Beth says it's 108 right now in Dallas, and that's why I don't live in Dallas, right there, because it's 108 in Dallas. So there's a look at tonight. The rain begins to taper off. Tomorrow morning, it will not be like we've seen of late. We will not see those morning coastal showers as we've been seeing. I mean, there might be one or two, but we're not going to have that widespread coverage. We're still going to have a southerly flow, but that drier air is going to start to come in. And then by the afternoon, when I say drier air, I do not mean rain-free. I'm merely talking about it's the end of July. Look, it's the peak of the rainy season. I'm not going to sit here, oh, we're not going to have any rain at all. Of course, there will be a few showers, but it's not going to be anywhere close to the coverage we had earlier in the week. And you can see it right there from 4 to 8 o'clock, 10, maybe 20% coverage. On Thursday, I think even lower. As Bertha, or what's left of Bertha, moves away, you're going to see even drier air and even less rain coverage through the day. All right, so let's talk about next week, all right? Look at the temperatures dropping down early next week into the upper 80s. No, that is not a front with cooler, drier air. Remember the last time this happened, it was the model showing us Bertha, right? Well, it's not showing Bertha, and the rain chances remain rather low through early next week. But I want to show you something here. So take a look at the forecast for next week, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So here's the Euro right here. You've got your low pressure, you've got Bertha moving into New Orleans tomorrow with a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, not a big deal. I'm going to call it rain with a name. I mean, maybe 40, 50 mile an hour winds, but guys, we get 60 mile an hour winds with our afternoon thunderstorms. So let's be real, it's not going to be a huge deal. And then look what happens. So this is Friday, and this is Saturday, and look what's coming in from the north. You get maybe low pressure developing along a frontal boundary, but then you get a front that just kind of meanders across the state. You see that moisture kind of building in that capacity right there? And it sticks around the entire week. Look at next weekend. You still have that front sitting there. And the GFS, by the way, is showing the same setup. Maybe not quite identical, but pretty darn close. So what do I think's happening right there? In an El Nino year, you know me, I'm on the record 5 months ago saying we will have a very wet second half of fall and winter. Our drought will be a thing of the past by the end of the year into early next year. That was my forecast because of a very powerful El Nino. Usually that energizes fronts and increases rain for our area mid-fall. But that shows me on the models that that's happening even sooner. And it makes a ton of sense because the El Nino, whether it's Super El Nino or Godzilla El Nino or whatever ridiculous name people want to call it, the point is it's going to enhance rain. So I really think next week is another one of those opportunities where we're going to see enhanced rain chances, not because it's the rainy season, but because we're beginning to see the effects of El Nino. And quickly, one more thing about that. The new long-range forecast just came out today. If you remember all the dry air, and remember what El Nino does, look at here. Here's July 29th to August 4th. look at all that dry air in the Caribbean and everywhere except for the Gulf. The Gulf is the only area not impacted by that drier air. Look at August 5th through 11th. Look at all that dry air. Great news for cruisers. If you're taking a cruise, man, you are looking great right on through the middle of August. The only area that potentially could see something else would be in the Gulf. And if you get a stalled out front, even though it's rare to think of a front in our area at the end of July or August, how many fronts do we get? If you see that, every now and again, low pressure can develop, just like Bertha, and we do it all over again. So I really think next week is an interesting part of the forecast. It's 6 days out. I'm not going to go out on the proverbial limb yet, but I'm telling you, I think we're going to see enhanced rain chances next week. But for Bertha, Louisiana tomorrow landfall, most of the weather is south of that center, almost all of it. So a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, that's about it. We're going to finish up at the end of the show with answering more questions and talking a little bit about the tropics. But in 90 seconds, we're going to be talking Tampa sports with the Tampa Sports Commission Executive Director. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. All right, we are in break, but we are still streaming. We'll bring the chair over. And it is correct, Executive Director?
Yes.
All right, Tampa Sports Commission?
Yes.
Lannis Robinson?
That's correct.
Gotcha, all right. So you're going to sit right here.
Okay.
And I will, and you're close up, I'll hold this chair has a tendency to jump, so
Okay.
I got you.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, see? All right, so I'll push you right there. You're going to be right there. Your close-up camera's on, too. Everybody, this is Mr. Lannis Robinson. He's Executive Director of the Tampa Sports Commission. Okay, you can actually move your chair up. There you go. That's good.
All right.
How's that look, Derek? I don't have IFBN, but I'm assuming that's good. All right, there's our two-shot.
Okay.
All right, there's our timer. This is what TV is really turning into. So this entire show, I pretty much run the entire thing right here.
I see.
I run my commercial breaks. I change the shots. The director is in there. He'll take the close-ups, but it's different. It's it's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of the technology is there, so they have
I
us
saw
use
you
it.
working all of the screens.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, all right, so there's my countdown. That says, what's that, 23? All right, so we will be back on a two-shot. And welcome, Mr. Robinson. Welcome to DPL. Lots of folks. And so, guys, if you have any questions about Tampa, and we'll talk about
Good evening, everyone.
what we're doing. We're back in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live. Kind of really excited about our next guest. And I was under the impression, and I learned something today. So when I heard we had somebody from Tampa Sports, I was thinking about the Tampa Sports Authority, which is a totally different entity than the Tampa Sports Commission.
That's correct.
And you are the Mr. Robinson, Lannis Robinson, Executive Director of the Tampa Sports Commission. So tell us what your area of expertise is compared to what maybe the Tampa Sports Authority does, because they're two very different things.
Right. So let me start off with the Tampa Sports Authority.
Okay.
They run Raymond James Stadium. They run the municipal golf courses, the Sportsplex out in Brandon. So they run facilities. We, the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, we're responsible for sports tourism. The 30 seconds, elevator pitches. We want to attract youth and amateur events and major events to Tampa to drive economic impact in our community.
And we've had a lot of that. We've talked about the Frozen Four. There have been so many things that, and it makes a lot of sense, especially in the fall and the winter, because we've got great weather.
Right.
But that's just got to be awesome for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. We're very fortunate to have some great partners out there, the NCAA being one. You mentioned the Frozen Four. We've had the Women's Final Four multiple times. We've hosted the first and second rounds for the men's basketball tournament, March Madness. And then we were fortunate enough, we've had a Super Bowl, we had the Stadium Series, the outdoor hockey game, so major event after major event.
Well, and this might have been before you were here, but we also had the men's Final Four at the Trop.
Right, that was definitely before.
Long time ago.
Yes, definitely before I was here.
Before you were probably born, for that matter.
No. I was a high school basketball coach at Plant City High School at that time.
Oh,
yes.
all right. Well, I remember that well. I believe it was Duke and Michigan State.
Yep.
I can't remember actually.
Mateen Cleaves, Michigan State. They won the title.
All right, so you do remember
Yes,
it.
sir.
So,
I was at the game.
were you really?
I was.
How'd you get tickets?
I've spent my money.
Well, so we've talked, and I will throw this out here, is because one of the questions I asked, and it's one I'm sure a lot of y'all are thinking, There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about a potential new stadium for the Rays. There's been a lot of talk with the Tampa Sports Authority about potentially adding a roof to Raymond James Stadium. And I kind of asked your thought about that, and you're like, look, we're not responsible for that happening, but if it does happen.
Then, so if there's a building that's available, we try to fill it when they're not having games. So if the Rays Stadium is built, then obviously they'll play a multitude of games there, but there's an off season and there are road trips, and that's an opportunity for us to attract events here to fill the building and drive tourism.
And one of those events is coming up this weekend at Raymond James Stadium, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So we have a soccer game being played at Raymond James Stadium on Saturday, July 25th at 7:30 p.m. We have Wrexham and Leeds, two teams from England playing here. Wrexham, which is owned by someone a lot of people know, Ryan Reynolds. They play in the second division, which is just below the English Premier League. And then Leeds is one of the 20 teams from the English Premier League. So they're going to be playing what I guess we'll call a friendly.
Right.
Obviously, we have had quite a few soccer matches here, so we're looking forward to that one.
How did that happen?
So, you know, we've had a lot of soccer games, if you think about it. We had the U.S. national team play about a year before the World Cup started. We had Messi and the Inter Miami come and play. We had the English national team play their last tune-up match, their last friendly before the World Cup. We just hosted Cape Verde. They were here. Their base camp was here in Tampa. So we've done a lot of soccer. We've been tied to soccer quite a bit. We're calling ourselves the epicenter of soccer in the U.S. right now.
It seems that way. And I'm guessing, obviously, with the World Cup just finishing, you're grabbing onto something. You're getting the fire while the fire's hot.
Absolutely. So this was in the works, obviously, before the World Cup started, but it's an opportunity to capitalize on the momentum from the World Cup. We had the English Premier League morning live show here in April that drew one of the largest crowds they've ever had, which was about 15,000 people coming out to Armature Works to watch the English Premier League on TV. Like, they came out to a tailgate to watch it on TV.
You know what? So I did a live shot at Sparkman Wharf when the Bolts were, I believe it was in the first round of the playoffs against the Canadians, and there were a bunch of soccer fans that were there, and the next morning they had a big event.
That was it.
That was the one.
That was it.
That's funny because, I mean, you know, they were very entertaining,
right?
Very enthusiastic, and they were telling me it was a big travel for them. It was from all over the world.
Oh, absolutely. So the makeup of that crowd, about a third were local, a third were from other parts of the state, but then a third were outside of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
They came here to watch soccer on TV being played in England.
That's when they told me that. I'm like, nah, you're not. Like, no, we really did.
Really
and I guess they broadcasted it too. It was there was some kind of a.
So they have like a morning show that is kind of, I will say, college game day, but for the English Premier League. And that's kind of the example. And I mean, rowdy crowd.
Yeah, they were.
Great activations by 16 of the 20 clubs. They had alumni from the English Premier League here. It was a great event.
And some serious beer drinkers, as I remember, as they were.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we're going to hit a break back in 90 seconds, and we're going to talk about what's coming up in the Bay Area and answering your questions as DPL continues. That was a great segment. Awesome. That's a really good segment. That was very interesting. So he's saying that somebody said they played the Rowdies. I'm not sure. Michael, who are you talking about? Who played the Rowdies? One of those groups that he's talking about? Somebody else is talking about Pele. I had a story about Pele. Get a load of this. When I was in high school, the Washington Diplomats were the NASL, or I don't know if it was NASL, what was it called? Yeah, I think it was NASL soccer team, played their games at my high school stadium, right? And one game, the New York Cosmos came and Pele played, right? So I got my number picked at halftime to try to kick the soccer ball through a hole in the goal. They put a sheet over the goal and they put a hole over it, and if I could put the ball through the hole, kick the ball through the hole from like a penalty shot, I'd win $100.
Okay.
And this was like 1979, I think it was. How much time we got? 20 seconds.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so I took a practice shot, and it went a little left. And as I was ready for the main shot, the Cosmos walked out and Pele walked out. And he's like, kid, step a little bit more to the left. And I did. and I made it.
Oh, wow.
It was so awesome. All right, we're back. So I got a one-on-one from Pele, and I got my $100.
You got instruction from Pele.
Exactly. It was
take
awesome.
that with you.
All right, so we are back on Dennis Phillips Live. I was just sharing a story about my high school days about Pele and the North American Soccer League. But again, speaking about soccer and other things, so what are some of the other things coming up in the Bay Area? I mean, are there any other events planned, short-term or long-term, or things that you're working on?
Oh, absolutely. So first off, we currently have the SEC Media Days happening downtown right now, where all of the SEC football coaches are coming in and doing their kickoff to the season, interviews with all the media. About 1,000 members of the media are here. 3 players from every school is representing. So that's a great opportunity. But then as we move into the coming years, so 2027, we're hosting the American Conference men's and women's basketball tournaments. We're going to host the SEC gymnastics. Their conference championship's going to be here. We have a couple other things that we can't really announce yet, but one thing or two things that we can announce in 2027, we're going to be hosting the Florida-Georgia football game right here at Raymond James Stadium.
No way.
Yes.
Instead of the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville,
They don't really call it that anymore. But,
I do.
But most people kind of still know it as, if at a certain age, you kind of know that that's the name of it. But
that's what it was, right?
And then
How'd that happen?
So Jacksonville Stadium is under renovation for 2 years.
Yeah.
So they're going to play the game this year in 2026 in Atlanta as a Georgia home game.
Okay.
And then here in Tampa as a Florida home game. So we're looking forward to that. But the big one, 2029, we're going to host the national championship, the college football playoff national championship. We got it back for the second time. Yes, sir.
I remember when it was here the first time.
2017 it was here.
Yeah, it was. I think Alabama might have.
Alabama, Clemson.
That's what I thought.
Clemson beat
Clemson
Alabama.
won.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I remember doing live shots right out there. It was on the south side of the stadium.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes, that's a big win for us.
Yeah, when are we going to get a Super Bowl again?
Well, you know, we're going to try every opportunity that that we have the opportunity to submit our intent to do that. We want to get another Super Bowl here.
And you know what? We deserve it because we've had great Super Bowls.
I would say our games have been fantastic.
Yeah, they have. And I just remember the week of, you know, Tampa knows how to throw a party, and they know how to handle a ton of people because with Gasparilla and everything else. And I just remember seeing other venues and other places. I always read about the issues and how there have been problems. And I just don't ever remember seeing them in Tampa.
Well, I think that's why we're we do so well when we submit bids. Team Tampa Bay really comes together, and as a result of that, we have great partners out there that really appreciate our city and the work that all of our partners put in to pulling off great events.
Well, you guys have done great, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us. It was great. And real quick, how did you get from coaching basketball at Plant City to what you're doing now?
So, short story. I was a high school teacher / coach. So I was a head basketball coach, assistant football coach at Plant City High School. Then I went into school administration. I was an athletic director at Wharton High School. Then I became the director of athletics for the school district for 19 years and served on the board of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission during that time.
Okay.
And so when Rob Higgins left the Sports Commission and went over to USF as their CEO of athletics, there was an opportunity there, and I was fortunate enough to be selected to sit in this seat.
And they got their new stadium coming too, USF.
Yes, that's another great partner, and we're looking at opportunities to host events. Same thing, host events when they're not feeling it.
It's awesome. Well, thank you again for coming.
No,
Appreciate
thank you for
it.
having me.
And please come back at any time, especially with all those scoops. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back in 90 seconds as DPL continues. Was that common knowledge?
What's that?
Yes.
We announced it back in November.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I probably heard it before, but that's awesome.
Yeah. That's a great deal.
And that's a week-long deal. That's actually maybe a 2-week-long thing. Although now with the playoffs, so how will that change?
It's really more of about a 4 or 5 days. In 2017, we played the game on Monday. The teams arrived on Friday.
But we didn't have the playoffs back then.
No, it was a 14 playoff.
Right. So now
it's still about the same amount of time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's about a 9 or 10 day period between. They don't do like the Super Bowl where they travel for the week before.
Right.
They don't have the 2-week break, and they don't travel as early.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. Thank you again so much.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Great to meet you.
Thanks for having me, and nice to meet you.
All right, guys, we are back in 40 seconds, and that was a great segment. That might very well have been one of my favorite interviews we've ever had here. That was just really interesting stuff. So thanks again. They'll get your mic. All right. let's see. We have back in 23 seconds. And we will finish up with one more look at the tropics. The new numbers will come out. Should be out by now. Hold on. 5. Welcome back to our last segment of Dennis Phillips Live. That was great. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Robinson, for coming on out here. Some really great information, and it was interesting because, you know, at first I asked him, obviously, look, we all want to know, is there going to be a new baseball stadium? Is there going to be a roof added to Ray J? I mean, those are the questions that everybody wants to know. And he's like, you know what? If they do it, it's awesome because we will fill it in the times where there is no baseball or there's no football. So, I mean, that's kind of a great gig, right? So he doesn't have to deal with the stuff that goes along with the whether or not something is accepted, whether or not something is approved. He's just like, yeah, all right, if you do it, we got you. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so anyway, let's quickly talk one more thing. Let's go one more look at the tropics because Bertha, we should have the 8 o'clock advisory out. So let's see if we've had any changes right now. This will be real time. No changes at this point. And I'll show you this again. And this is, look at where the center of that storm is, right? Where the little spinny thing is, where the icon is spinning. All of the weather, the bad weather, the rain, is south of that center. When you think of a tropical storm or hurricane, what do you think of? You think of a little buzzsaw, right? And the center or the eye is where it's calm, and then right around it, things are obviously really hectic. Well, when you have shear or winds blowing the top of that storm in whatever direction that shear is coming from, it keeps it from getting too particularly strong. And in this case, you can see very clearly there's shear coming in out of the northeast, and it's blowing everything down to the southwest. So there's a lot of convection down there, but it's disorganized. It will not develop further. So if you figure it this way, ultimately look at where the track of this storm is going to go. So if everything is south, right, and then you look at the track of Bertha forecast by the Hurricane Center, that goes very close to New Orleans, southeastern Louisiana. But look at where that's where your center is, where that line is. If that shear continues, then it's going to push all of the bad weather south of that line. So you can make the argument there won't be a ton of rough weather along that line. I mean, they might get 40, 45, 50. And you're going to hear reports. You will hear reports inevitably. Oh, the winds are 60 or 65 miles, or gusting over to 70. That's in like a one-block area. The overall forecast and scheme of things, when you hear that number, that 60, that maximum sustained winds, can be in an extremely small area, like a 2-block area. It's still maximum, but it is not what most people will experience. And that's something that I always talk about when we have a storm here. You might hear a storm has 120-mile-an-hour winds, but it's in a small area, maybe a quarter of a mile. Now, we won't minimize the impacts on that area, but the overall area will not get anything close to that. So with this storm, it's the exact same thing. There might be 1 or 2 areas that are going to get some gusty winds, 55, 60. Oh, by the way, that's our afternoon thunderstorm winds. So the reality of it is, you know, I'll call it rain with a name, yes. You might find some video with a couple of trees down. You might see a little bit of low-level flooding in some coastal areas with a 1 or 2 foot surge. But overall, it is not going to be a big deal compared to what we think of with other storms we have seen in the northern Gulf Coast or in Florida. All right? So there you have it. So thanks for watching DPL. If you're on the spot, tomorrow night we will be back. We will have another guest. Brewfest is coming up this Saturday at Benchmark. I will be there with the meet and greet. Hopefully we'll see you there. And if not, definitely hopefully see you tomorrow night on our next edition of DPL. All right, we are done with streaming and TV. That was a fun show. That was a fun show. So yeah, Denise, there's definitely some rough weather across the Northeast. The pretty significant tornado watch, which is kind of surprising, actually. I mean, I can call up, well, first of all, I do want to show you the euro. So, here's what we have now, obviously, and obviously there's a depression, but look at what the euro tries to show down the road. And I'll show you the Western, where is it? Yeah. So look at this. So this is next Wednesday. And while you don't see much of anything, you have that front that I've talked about, that stalled out front that's just going to kind of sit out there. See it? That's a week from Sunday. But look how long it just hangs out. And I'm telling you, that to me is a telltale sign of what, and by the way, look, there's another hurricane in the Pacific, which you always have that in El Nino years. The Pacific gets really active, the Atlantic not so much. But I really think what we were saying earlier, known as homegrown systems, and that means development very close to the northern Gulf and Florida along a stalled out front. And because the drier air is located to the south, it does leave a window of opportunity for development in the northern Gulf. Now, usually that development won't be particularly strong for a number of reasons, but it still can create some decent rain. So yes, homegrown is the thing, Michael. That is exactly right. And that is because of El Nino. There's your rain potential. Now, here, I will talk quickly about what's going on up in the Northeast. So, if we see we have any mesoscale discussions going on. Yeah, we do. We only have a couple. One for around Norfolk, another one in West Virginia. But that's where the severe thunderstorm watches are. But overall, we had a lot of watches earlier on today. Why this isn't loading from the SPC site, I'm not sure. But there were tornado watches for a good part of New Jersey. Let me try this again. Yeah, see, check this out. Why is our site not loading? Doing a little spinny on me right there. Come on, you can do it. There we go. So there's a look at the enhanced risks of severe weather across the Delmarva to the mid-Atlantic, and then that's the orange color. Yellow is a slight risk, and that's today. The tornado threat, pretty significant. This is within the probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point, and the brown color, that's about a 5 to 10% probability, which for that area is pretty unusual. But that's what happens when you have a decent front come through. And that's kind of what's going on right there. So there it is, my friends. All right, so that's it. I'm going to go have my soup because I love my microwave soup. And I do. I love it. I got the broccoli and cheese Panera was BOGO, and it's my favorite. I like it. Gonna go watch the Rays game. Last I saw, they were winning 2-0. I don't know if they are anymore, taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. But guys, thanks for coming on. That was a fun show. And tomorrow we'll be back. I think we're with Brewfest people tomorrow. I think the folks from Creative Loafing. And again, I will be live at Benchmark on Saturday night from 5 to 9:30 for Brewfest with a meet and greet. And it's a really amazing event. If you've never gone, I'm telling you, it's a great event. There's like 50 breweries or whatever, and they all have little tables all around with little samples, and you can go around and you can try them. And it's funny because, so I did a meet and greet there last year, and the first half hour, people come up to me, and they're like, hi, Mr. Phillips. Hi, Dennis Phillips. How you doing? Nice to meet you. By 9 o'clock, Dennis, how you doing? Because they've been drinking for 4 hours. It's hysterical. But the folks who I talked to last year, that's the first year I'd ever been, go every year because it is such a great event. So If you're looking for something to do on Saturday night, Brewfest is a great thing. I will be there. The station will be there. Crooked Thumb will be there with rule number 7, right there with me. And we will be back tomorrow night. I believe we're talking with the folks on Brewfest. If not, it's certainly on Thursday night or Friday night. I know that for a fact. It's one of these nights before it. So you guys have a great night. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you in tomorrow night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See you guys.